The Suliban representative Vortis's mocking laugh echoed through the Galactic Council chamber as he gestured dismissively at the viewport, displaying humanity's ancient warship, a rusted relic called the USS Odyssey. But his laugh was choked into shocked silence as the ship's powerful engines suddenly roared to life with a deafening boom. "Do you take us for fools?" Vortis had sneered at Samuel Allen, the rugged, middle-aged human ambassador. "You present this primitive hulk as evidence of your species' readiness to join our advanced galactic community. I have seen sturdier vessels transporting waste." The other council members, all various alien species far technologically superior to Earth, joined in the derisive laughter. Samuel clenched his jaw, face burning with humiliation. He glared defiantly at the council. "The Odyssey represents humanity's incredible resilience and indomitable spirit," he declared. "Underestimate us at your peril." But even Samuel's faith wavered slightly as his eyes fell on the outdated ship floating before them. The Odyssey looked like little more than scrap metal next to the sleek, highly advanced ships of the Suliban and others. If the ancient warship failed to impress, the Council would deny Earth membership and likely restrict human expansion. The already resource-starved colonies would wither, and billions on the overcrowded homeworld would suffer. Humanity needed that seat at the galactic table. As the mocking insults continued, Samuel silently begged the Odyssey to prove itself. Then, with an awesome roar that silenced the entire chamber, the ship's massive engines suddenly flared to life. Eerie blue light flooded the viewport as the behemoth vessel hummed with immense restrained power. Slack-jawed alien faces turned from the viewport back to Samuel. Humanity's ambassador allowed himself a grim smile. These arrogant council members were about to learn that the Odyssey and the human spirit were far more formidable than they could possibly imagine. The shocked silence that had fallen over the council chamber was shattered by Samuel's voice, now filled with a quiet intensity that commanded attention. He stepped forward, his eyes locked on the alien representatives. "The Odyssey's appearance is a carefully crafted illusion," Samuel revealed, his words echoing in the stillness. "For decades, humanity has been developing advanced technologies far beyond anything we have shared with the galactic community." Murmurs of disbelief and unease rippled through the gathered council members, their eyes flickering between Samuel and the humming warship. Vortis, his earlier bravado replaced by a growing apprehension, leaned forward in his seat. "What manner of deception is this?" the Suliban representative demanded, his voice tinged with a mix of anger and fear. Samuel met Vortis's gaze unflinchingly. "The Odyssey is powered by a unique fusion reactor, capable of generating energy on a scale that dwarfs anything in your fleets. This power feeds our weapon systems, which are far more advanced than you can imagine." The council members exchanged glances, their expressions ranging from awe to trepidation. They began to realize that they had severely miscalculated humanity's true capabilities. "Why have you kept this hidden?" Vortis pressed, his tone now laced with suspicion. Samuel's voice remained steady as he replied, "Humanity has learned through bitter experience that trust must be earned. We have been observing the Council's actions, gathering intelligence on potential threats to our world and our allies." He paused, letting his words sink in. The council members shifted uneasily in their seats, suddenly aware of the possibility that their secrets and machinations may not have been as well concealed as they believed. "We have eyes and ears throughout the galaxy," Samuel continued, his voice low and ominous. "Our network of informants keeps us apprised of any dangers that may threaten Earth or those we have sworn to protect." As the council members absorbed this revelation, a sudden alarm blared through the chamber, shattering the tense atmosphere. All eyes turned to the view screen, where a fleet of unknown vessels emerged from the darkness of space, their hulls bristling with weaponry that exuded a palpable menace. Samuel's eyes narrowed as he recognized the ships. They belonged to a hostile faction that had clashed with humanity in the past, a group known for their ruthless aggression and disregard for diplomacy. In that moment, Samuel knew that the time for words had passed. He turned to face the council once more, his expression hardened with resolve. "The Odyssey and her crew will meet this threat head-on," he declared, his voice ringing with unwavering determination. "We will prove humanity's worth not through mere words, but through the crucible of action." As Samuel strode towards the chamber's exit, his steps echoing with purpose, the council members were left to ponder the true nature of the power they had so carelessly dismissed. The Odyssey, a once mocked relic, now loomed as a symbol of humanity's hidden strength, ready to face the oncoming storm and defend the galaxy from the encroaching darkness. The hostile fleet's approach set off alarms throughout the council chamber, and Samuel sprang into action without hesitation. He activated his communicator, his voice steady, as he issued orders to the Odyssey's crew. "Captain, the enemy is upon us. Prepare the ship for battle and await further instructions." The council members watched in stunned silence as the human ambassador took charge of the situation, his demeanor calm and collected despite the imminent danger. Gone was the dismissive attitude they had displayed just moments ago. Now they looked to Samuel with a mix of fear and newfound respect. Vortis, the Suliban representative, stepped forward, his earlier bravado replaced by a grim determination. "The Suliban fleet is at your disposal, Ambassador Allen. We may have our differences, but in the face of this threat, we must stand united." Samuel nodded curtly, accepting Vortis's offer of support. "Thank you, Vortis. The Odyssey cannot defend the Council station alone. We will need your ship's advanced technology to even the odds." The Suliban ships, sleek and deadly, fell into formation alongside the Odyssey, their weapons primed and ready. The Allied forces faced the approaching enemy fleet, bracing themselves for the battle to come. As the hostile ships drew closer, Samuel's eyes narrowed. He had seen this before during his time as a soldier in the Human-Zorgon War. The enemy's ships were not only armed with conventional weapons, but also with a terrifying biological weapon. "Captain, scan the enemy ships for biocontainment units," Samuel ordered, his voice tight with tension. "I have a hunch they're carrying something far worse than just missiles and plasma cannons." The Odyssey's advanced sensors probed the hostile fleet, and the results confirmed Samuel's worst fears. The enemy ships were equipped with massive tanks, each containing a swarm of genetically engineered parasites capable of infecting and controlling the minds of their hosts. Samuel's face grew grim as he relayed the information to the council members. "We've encountered similar threats in the past," he explained, his voice low and urgent. "If those parasites reach the council station, they could spread throughout the galaxy, turning entire species into mindless slaves." The council members exchanged looks of horror, the gravity of the situation sinking in. They knew that the fate of the galaxy now rested in the hands of the human ambassador and his mysterious ship. Samuel turned to the Odyssey's captain, his voice filled with resolve. "Take point, Captain. The Odyssey's advanced shields and weapons will provide our first line of defense. We cannot let those parasites reach the station." The Odyssey surged forward, its engines roaring as it led the charge against the enemy fleet. The Suliban ships followed close behind, their advanced technology proving to be a valuable asset in the fight. The battle raged on, the darkness of space illuminated by the flashes of weapons fire and the explosions of destroyed ships. The Allied forces fought bravely, but as the minutes ticked by, it became clear that the enemy's numbers were far greater than anticipated. Slowly, inexorably, the Odyssey and the Suliban ships were pushed back towards the council station, the enemy fleet closing in like a pack of hungry wolves. Samuel gritted his teeth, his mind racing as he tried to formulate a plan. They couldn't hold out forever, and if the station fell, the galaxy would be doomed. As the battle raged on, the council chamber was filled with a tense silence, broken only by the muffled sounds of distant explosions. The alien representatives watched the view screen with bated breath, their eyes fixed on the Odyssey, as it charged headlong into the heart of the enemy fleet. Samuel's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display, his mind racing to find a way to turn the tide of the battle. The parasites were the key, he realized. If they could destroy the tanks containing those insidious creatures, the enemy's most potent weapon would be neutralized. "Captain, focus all fire on the parasite tanks," Samuel ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos of the bridge. "We have to take them out before they reach the station." The Odyssey's crew, their faces grim with determination, obeyed without hesitation. The ship's advanced weapon systems locked onto the tanks, targeting them with surgical precision. Beams of searing energy lanced out from the Odyssey, piercing the enemy's hulls and setting off a chain of devastating explosions. The hostile ships, caught off guard by the sudden shift in tactics, scrambled to regroup and focus their attacks on the human vessel. The Odyssey's shields flared and crackled under the onslaught, the ship shuddering as it absorbed the enemy's fury. In the council chamber, Vortis leaned forward, his eyes widening as he watched the Odyssey weave through the enemy fleet, drawing their fire away from the Suliban ships and the station. "The humans are sacrificing themselves," he murmured, a mix of awe and disbelief in his voice. Samuel, his face bathed in the eerie glow of the tactical display, shook his head. "Not sacrificing," he corrected, his voice low and intense. "Fighting." As the battle raged on, the Odyssey's crew began to suffer casualties. The ship's interior echoed with the cries of the wounded and the dying, the acrid scent of smoke and burnt circuitry filling the air. Samuel, his face etched with sorrow and determination, refused to give the order to retreat, knowing that the fate of the Council and countless worlds hung in the balance. Just as it seemed that the Odyssey was about to be overwhelmed, a massive explosion rocked the enemy fleet. The Suliban ships, having seized the opportunity to flank the hostile vessels, had targeted their command ship with devastating precision. The blast tore through the enemy's ranks, sending shattered hulls and debris spinning into the void. The Odyssey, battered but unbroken, pressed its advantage, its weapons tearing through the enemy's defenses with renewed ferocity. The parasite tanks, once the enemy's most terrifying weapon, were reduced to twisted, smoldering ruins, their contents vaporized in the unrelenting assault. On the bridge of the Odyssey, Samuel watched as the enemy fleet began to falter, their coordination and morale shattered by the loss of their command ship. The human crew, exhausted but triumphant, let out a ragged cheer as the hostile ships began to retreat, their numbers dwindling with each passing moment. But even as the tide of the battle turned in their favor, Samuel knew that the fight was far from over. The enemy had been dealt a crippling blow, but they were not yet defeated. The Odyssey and its allies would need to press their advantage, to strike while the hostile forces were still reeling from the loss of their command ship and their most potent weapon. Samuel turned to the council members, his eyes blazing with a fierce determination. "This is only the beginning," he declared, his voice ringing out through the chamber. "The enemy may be retreating, but they will not give up so easily. We must be ready for their next move, and we must stand united if we hope to prevail." The alien representatives, still stunned by the sudden turn of events, could only nod in agreement, their earlier doubts and reservations about humanity's capabilities now thoroughly shattered. They knew that the humans and the Odyssey had proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, a valuable ally in the fight against the encroaching darkness. As the Odyssey and the Suliban ships regrouped, preparing for the next phase of the battle, Samuel allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. They had won a crucial victory, but the war was far from over. The enemy would return, more determined than ever to destroy the Council and spread their insidious parasites throughout the galaxy. But for now, the Odyssey and its crew would stand tall, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had proven that humanity, for all its flaws and imperfections, was a force to be reckoned with, a species that would never surrender in the face of adversity. The battle for the Council station may have been won, but the war for the galaxy had only just begun. As the tide of battle turned in favor of the Odyssey and its Suliban allies, a shrill alarm pierced the air on the bridge. Samuel's head snapped towards the communications console, where a desperate transmission from the Council station flickered to life. "Ambassador Allen, we need immediate assistance." The panicked voice of a council aide crackled through the speakers. "There's been a breach in the station's quarantine protocols. The parasite swarm, it's spreading." Samuel's blood ran cold as he processed the implications. During the chaos of the battle, the insidious parasites must have found a way to infest some of the council members, twisting their minds and bending them to their will. Now, those infected individuals were working against the station from within, sabotaging its defenses and leaving it vulnerable to the remnants of the hostile fleet. The human ambassador's eyes darted to the tactical display, where the weakened enemy ship still lurked at the edges of the battlefield, waiting for an opportunity to strike. If the station fell, the parasites would have a foothold to spread their vile influence throughout the galaxy. With a heavy heart, Samuel knew what had to be done. He opened a secure channel to the Odyssey's crew and the Suliban ships, his voice steady despite the weight of his decision. All Allied forces, new target, the Council Station. Concentrate fire on the infected areas. We cannot allow the parasite swarm to escape. There was a moment of stunned silence before the acknowledgements came through. The crews of the Allied ships, grappling with the grim reality of the situation. The Odyssey's advanced weapons systems hummed to life, their targeting algorithms calibrated to eliminate the parasite threat, while minimizing damage to the station's vital systems. On the view screen, the once pristine Council Station began to light up with explosions as the Odyssey and Suliban ships rained fire upon the infected areas. The Council members who had managed to evade the parasite's control could only watch in horror as sections of their station burned, reduced to smoldering ruins. A hail from the Suliban flagship drew Samuel's attention. Vortis's face filled the screen, his expression a mixture of anger and reluctant respect. "Ambassador Allen, what is the meaning of this?" the Suliban demanded, his voice tight with barely contained fury. "You're destroying the very heart of the Galactic Council." Samuel met Vortis's gaze, his own face haggard and his eyes haunted by the weight of his choices. "Sacrifices must be made, Vortis. If we don't act now, the parasite swarm will consume everything we fought to protect. The survival of the galactic community depends on our willingness to make hard decisions." As the battle raged on, the Odyssey and Suliban ships poured fire into the Council Station, their scarred hulls a testament to the brutal conflict. The parasite swarm, deprived of its hosts and vulnerable to the relentless assault, began to wither and die. At last the guns fell silent, the remnants of the hostile fleet nothing more than drifting debris. The Council Station, once a shining beacon of galactic unity, now stood as a battered shell, its halls echoing with the screams of the fallen. On the bridge of the Odyssey, Samuel slumped in his chair, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. The cost of victory had been high, with countless lives lost, including many of his own brave crew. As the smoke began to clear, and the Allied ships took stock of the damage, the human ambassador's gaze remained fixed on the ruins of the Council Station. The battle may have been won, but Samuel knew that the true cost of their triumph would be felt for generations to come. The once prideful Galactic Council, humbled by the sacrifices of the humans and their allies, would now have to confront the harsh realities of a universe where trust and unity were fragile commodities, and where the price of survival was paid in blood. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.